Shut up and sit down.
So she's really taking advantage of it, but it's cool. Like I can listen to this, like we'll tape this tonight, but then tomorrow, like I'll be home and I can mess around with it too and listen to it. So so it's been great for me. I really like the 3-day weekends for sure.
Heck yeah.
So, all right, boys. Well, should we talk a little quarterback action?
I think we should talk a little bit of quarterback action. All right, let's do it. Ready to jump into it?
Let's do it.
Start off the Pigskin Pricks. Let's make it happen. All right, everybody, welcome into the Pigskin Pricks. Usual group of rascals here. I guess we're rascals. I don't know what to call us at this point.
Well, we're not little rascals. I can tell you that.
We're not little rascals. We're big rascals. But yeah, I'm Evan. We got John. We got Joe. And of course, we're going to start with beers. What's on the menu? What's happening? We got anything on tap?
Of course. I'll tell you, I don't have anything on tap, but I do have something in the bottle from a barrel.
Okay.
So that could be interesting. Tonight, I decided to go with so those of you that don't know, on top of being a beer fan, I'm a mega tequila fan. All right, I don't drink dirty tequilas, but silver tequila I really like, and I really like higher end silver tequillas.
Why don't you tell me that while we were at Thirsty Moose?
Well, you know what? I'll be back in July, so in a month we'll hit some good silver stuff.
I'm pretty sure he wanted to keep his clothes on while he was there.
Thank God he's not drinking it now. There has been some table dances. Let's just say that. But no, tonight I chose the Kentucky Tequila Barrel, and it's a wheat. And as you guys know, I love wheats, right? But then to add a tequila barrel, this is from Lexington Brewing and Distillery. And I got to tell you guys, it really, really is good. I mean, it's got a great hint of tequila in it, but then it's got that great wheat flavor with a little fruity on the back end, which is odd when you're talking about tequila, because generally you wouldn't put the two together, but they did it really, really well. So this definitely, I give it a solid 8.
Nice.
I'll give this an 8.0 because I really, really enjoy it. And John, this is actually one that I would love for you to taste. I don't know that you've ever had it. Your face.
Never had that one. I've actually had their beers. I've had a barrel-aged bourbon, and I think it was an old-fashioned ale, but both were like a barrel-aged type, which I love, and they were both great beers. So I'm familiar with the brewery, not familiar with that beer. I'm definitely into looking up. And it matches the color of my shirt, so that's an even better beer.
Did you like that? Yeah, let's check that out.
Yeah, I did this just so I could get heckled by the Green Bay non-fans that most of us are, especially you, Joe.
Yeah, well, I don't like Green Bay, but it's Jordy Nelson.
Right. I was going to say there's a reason I'm wearing it.
K-State. So, I mean, come on,
There's a little history there that we have to acknowledge. So, yeah, it's really about Jordy Nelson, not so much about Green Bay, but, he played with Brett Favre at first, and I really liked Green Bay when Favre was playing. So.
Yeah, so did I.
Old gunslinger.
What am I drinking? So check this out. I actually held back. There's a couple things. So my son got me this koozie. Can you see the grip?
Oh, nice.
Yes, I like it.
All right.
Football style. Joe probably already knows what it is. I didn't even crack it open yet. I just wanted to crack it open and get the.
Ooh, there's that noise.
This beer's great. This beer's great because it's refreshing.
I think it's great too.
I'm amazed I liked this beer when I first got it. I just took a gamble on it. I'm pulling out a koozie so I can show it off. But to lead into it, the primary beer that this is made from, I fucking hate with a passion. Natty Light. I fucking can't stand it. But
Natter Days.
Good old Natter Days. Boy, I got some wicked good old Natter Days with the fucking flamingos. Man, I saw it multiple times, and I'm like, okay, it's not very expensive. No. I love lemonade. I love strawberry lemonade. I like any kind of lemonade. I bought it, tried it, really liked it. My wife was out of town at the time. This is a really funny coincidence, but my son came up and I won't call him a snob, but he usually doesn't like shitty beer. And he dug it, and he doesn't usually like sweet, fruity flavored beer. I mean, it's not overpowering, but you definitely taste the strawberry and lemonade. Kind of like a shandy, but not a shandy.
Yep.
Sounds pretty good.
So he started drinking the shit out of it, and I think we either posted or some weird thing happened. And I think my wife just sent me a Snapchat and said, you should try this beer. And it was a picture of Natter Days. And I had just got it too. And she's like, it's actually pretty good. And I'm like, yeah, honey, we know. And I took a picture of mine and sent it back. I was like, this is crazy. So the beauty of this beer is like you work in the yard, or a good example, we're boating on the pontoon boat in the lake. You can kind of just drink it all day long because it's really low. It's like 4.5%. Not really heavy. It's easy to drink. It doesn't make you feel bloated. Not that you want to pound a 12-pack. You'll probably fill that pretty quickly. But if you're just drinking it to be drinking it as a refreshing beverage, it's nice. It's real nice.
See, and that's kind of what a summer shandy is to me.
Yeah.
Like that, it's that same kind of.
Oh yeah.
I mean, summer shandy's obviously more expensive than Natter Days because it's obviously a strawberry natural light. But I've had those. I've got them in my fridge up in the garage because I drink those when I'm done mowing. That's when I really enjoy them. So yeah, I'm really familiar with those. They actually are good, and for the price, they're really good.
Yeah, they're great. I'm shocked as I thought about this beer and what I was going to talk about. I'm shocked, and I realized that like over the winter, I didn't get this very much. I might have had a little bit. I don't think I mean, during the summer, we're like running out of them all the time and going to get more because my son comes to visit. The wife will drink them. It's just a more average, easy drinking beer. And it's weird, like maybe pandemic, but we went to the grocery store and they don't have any. It's out. And we're like, what the fuck? We'll go to a different one. They might have, like my wife's like, I got the only case they had. This was it. So apparently other people like it, but it's not, it is, as you try to give it a rating, it's about the time that you're drinking it and the time, kind of the year, your mood, are you hot and sweaty, or because to say it's as good as my pale ale favorite or even unfiltered wheat is not fair. It's not. No. But at the right moment, it's better, to be honest. Like if you just, I just mowed and I just need to pound something quick and cold and tasty, it's freaking amazing. And you don't want to do that to a pale ale. You're going to be like, I can't hardly drink this motherfucker. I'm just parched. So to give it a rating, I was really on the fence. I'm even going to bump it up one more. I'm going to give it a 7.5. And I'm shocked by that. I'm going to give it a 7.5 because not because it's the best beer compared to any other beer, but for what it is, the type of beer. And if you compared it to that type of just easy drinking, I'm sure it's a lager. It's better than most. Yeah, of course. It's way better than most.
Fair enough.
I would have given it a 7. So I'm in the ballpark.
Kind of where I was at, and I'm like, no, I think it's even better than that.
I mean, it's great. It's great. It's not like, listen, if I'm sitting in fall, right, and I'm sitting out on my deck, it's probably not a beer that I would choose to drink just because of the time.
Right.
It really, really is a summer beer.
Yep.
I mean, it's one of those for on those hot days. You get it super cold, and it's just freaking delicious. But beyond that, so it's really a seasonal.
Yes, it is.
Right? It's definitely a seasonal beer. But in season, it's fantastic. So
all right, sounds like my type of beer.
And we're both calling a natural light product fantastic.
I'm ashamed. I was really ashamed to buy it and drink it, to be honest, because I hate regular Natty Light so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only time I've ever drank a Natty Light and like not cared was when I was feeling pretty good already.
Yeah.
It didn't matter at that point.
Natty Light is associated with piss. So
yes, it is. Yeah. So anyway,
on that note, let's get into quarterbacks.
Right. Let's talk about football.
Some piss quarterbacks.
We've knocked the beer shit down pretty well.
All right, so I want to start with a guy I'm obligated to pick because I picked him for MVP. So since we're talking about quarterbacks, I picked him for MVP. Sure. I have to pick Kyler Murray. Like it makes me hypocritical if I don't make him my number one quarterback. But I also do think he's going to have a stellar fantasy year. He's rated top 5 by most experts' consensus. He's in the top 5 quarterbacks already. So he's going to be one of the first guys off the board. Yeah, Deandre Hopkins making that second-year leap like we talked about, the second year in that offense. I just think he has a good year. He's a safe bet for a fantasy quarterback. Maybe you could argue a couple guys before him, but he's a guy I'd be comfortable with as my number one.
Gotcha. I was just going to say, Evan, if you had the first pick in the draft, would you pick Kyler Murray?
Like first pick in the draft overall?
Yeah.
Yes.
No. I would pick a running back.
Okay. So then round 2 comes, and you're the first guy that's going to grab a quarterback.
Would I pick Kyler Murray?
Do you pick Kyler? You got to play with me here on this. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
No other quarterback's gone. And the reason I say that is because I'm sure there's a consensus number one, and I'm not going to try to. I was going to totally change my goal this time because we keep talking kind of about the same guys.
Do.
But we all know who the number one consensus is, and that guy blew away everybody else last year, and that was Lamar Jackson. He was almost 100 points better than the next quarterback. His average was better than everybody else, and
I think he comes down a little bit. I think he does can live up to that standard.
That's so far apart. Like if you're a fantasy guy and you're just trying to win, every point matters. And if this guy's, I mean,
he's got the mobility. He's the mobile.
That's why. That's why he's got so many points
too.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I think he.
And it is the second year. He could. So you think he could maybe become Lamar Jackson?
I don't think he's going to run as often as Lamar Jackson. But I think he's actually a better passer, and he has more weapons.
Gotcha.
And he can use his legs. So I think in terms of skill level, he's the same. He's just as good. So maybe he doesn't rack up the running yards and the rushing touchdowns, and maybe that knocks him lower than Lamar Jackson. But I think he's a top 3 guy.
I like that you stuck with your guy. I do want to say that MVP doesn't equate to fantasy.
Not always.
Number one.
But I'm sticking with my guy.
But it did last year. But not always, right? So it's good that you're sticking with your guy and not a terrible pick. What do you think, Joe?
I think you were on the spaceship that went to the international fucking space stations. What I think.
I always am.
I think you're fucking
I'm
crazy.
Always riding that.
He is.
Come on, man.
I like Kyler Murray, right? But he ain't going to be the first quarterback taken. I don't care what round it is. Listen, this guy's not getting his reps in. I understand it's his second year, but he's working with new guys. It's going to take a while. And even if they gel midseason, you still lose all those first games that you expect him to get the points. So as far as total points by the end of the year, this guy ain't going to have it. I know you got to go with him. You picked him. That's fine. But realistically, there's no way. Now, I'll throw this out here. I'm going to take Pat Mahomes. But let me tell you something. I would take him as the number 1 pick in the whole draft. I'm not as big on running backs anymore being taken early because it's become more of a passing league. Running backs aren't as important as they used to be in fantasy. If you go back and you look at the points that quarterbacks are scoring as opposed to running backs, John, I bet if you went back last year and checked, I bet you would find that quarterbacks are scoring more points than running backs.
There's more quarterbacks putting up points than
more quality quarterbacks, right?
That's correct, but you're only playing one.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey actually was number 1 last year.
So
believe it or not.
Okay.
But after that, I don't even have it from me because I had closed it. But
right,
I'm sure you're right that if you were to take the top 10 or top 20, there's more quarterbacks than running backs that were scoring.
Correct.
But that shows me that you should value the running back.
I hear what Joe's saying about that though too, because to me it's where you are in the draft order in that first round. Because if you can get one of the couple guys that are, as Joe talked about in our last episode,
the number 1
the guys
guy.
that he's the running back of the team, and there's other running backs, but they only get a little bit of playing time, then you grab that guy. Well, you got the chance. But if those guys are gone, Christian's gone, and
then you start considering.
Then you go, well, is the best quarterback available? Because if he is, I'm taking him because he's going to get me more points, and I'll get a couple other running backs next couple rounds. So or great the far the Michael Thomas, the number 1 receiver by far, if you can get your hands on him.
And really, you're right. It depends where you are. If you're number 7, then you're picking the best guy.
Yeah.
I mean, because at that point, that Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, they're gone.
And if they're not, you're grabbing them. I mean, it's simple as that.
If Michael Thomas is there at number 7, you're grabbing his ass because he's better than any running back left, and he's better than any quarterback left as far as points scored. So it does matter. But again, if I'm the first guy in the draft, I like quarterback better than running back. I'm one of the very few. I understand what you're saying. There are fewer running back, but there's still a ton of running backs. And if I'm the number 1 guy, I'm going to pick Patrick Mahomes. And when that son of a bitch comes back to me, I'm going to hammer out. I get 2 picks then. I'm going to hammer. My first pick is a running back, which there's still going to be a top 10 right there because not everybody's going to pick a running back. And then I'm going to pick the number 1 receiver or the number 1 receiver left. So now you've got a quarterback, a running back, and a receiver. Now you could do it running back, quarterback, and whatever. I just believe there's more value in a quarterback in the league now. It never used to be that way. Matter of fact, John, we've been playing so long. If you go way back, the first 2 or 3 picks that you would pick were running backs. Like you didn't touch anything else until you got shored up on your running backs.
Yep, unless you were the guy that took Brady or Manning.
That's exactly right. And so it used to be that way, but it's not that way anymore. You're right. Lamar Jackson, the guy just runs so much, but my worry is that at some point, so and it may not be this year.
That's what I worried.
At some point, he's going to get hit. And when he gets hit, something's going to break or something's going to tear. And when that happens, they're done. Because he's a dynamic quarterback. But I do agree with you, Evan. I think he's going to regress a little bit this year. I think people are going to – they have film on him. And they're going to watch him play. They're going to watch that film, and they're going to know how to defend him.
They're going to look at what Tennessee did.
They're going to try to hold him. I mean, you can't really – you can defend him, but you can't stop Lamar Jackson. He's just so good. But I do believe they'll be able to slow him down more than they did last year. Right. So, and Patrick Mahomes, I think, is going to come out. He's got his receivers back. He's got his offensive line back. He's got this new kid at the backfield. I mean, give me a break, So, homer pick. Got to go with Pat.
Well, I love it, but I was going to say, even Joe, I like that you're picking Patrick Mahomes as well because I'm a fan. But as far as the number one, right? So last year, he didn't play all his games. So if you just look at overall stats, at overall stats, and I got it in front of me, he was 8th. Okay.
Yes.
But he only played 14 games. We're all looking at the same thing. But if you go by average, he was 6th. Weirdly enough, he was behind Jameis Winston, guys.
Yes.
And Jameis doesn't even get to start this year.
Winston, right. And Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, 2 underrated fantasy.
0.01 points above Russell Wilson average. Yes. So he's in tough competition. Now, this coming year, they're projecting him to be number 2 behind Lamar Jackson. So it's not a terrible pick. I'm just like, I actually feel like, well, I think Pat's great. I think Andy's going to continue to use all the tools, which means Pat's, just like last year, isn't going to be as dynamic as he was in his first year. His first year, he was crazy because his tools were maybe a little more limited, and he thought he had to carry it on his own. And Joe and I kind of talked about this. I don't think Patrick Mahomes was as fun to watch last year because he didn't do as many sidearm throws or left-hand throws. He played a little bit more within the team. Not himself, because he would have played way above that, but he tried to play within the team what the players around him are capable of. Because halftime they're not expecting the pass that he's not even looking at him and he chucks the ball. I mean, some of the guys were, but, and occasionally he misses it. So he was taking away some of the risk to get more consistent. And I think he'll get a little more risky because he's getting better at reading defenses. He's been in the years now, the league 3 years, 2 years of playing time. So he's going to, this will be his, 4th year. So he'll definitely come around, but I'm like, I don't know that he's going to be number 1, but I would definitely jump on him very early.
And that's exactly what I think, John. I actually think that Pat Mahomes is going to go back to year 1 form. I think he's going to. I think he's going to do that because I think that the receivers and all of those guys are working to help him do that. Right, I think Tyreek Hill's doing the right things to become a better receiver. Yeah. I think that they got this running back. He's dynamic, but he's really dynamic catching the ball out of the backfield. That's his strong point. Well, look, if he throws a swing pass and this guy runs 80 yards,
that's 80 yards.
He scores a hell of a lot of points on that. Yeah, so I just think that that's where he's going to score. So I do think that Patrick, if he stays healthy, now that's obviously. He was
even
out
if he misses 2 games, he was still top 10.
He was still
still a good value.
I think he'll make steps forward. I think Lamar Jackson will take steps back, and they're going to be pretty damn even.
They do have pretty close.
You could take either one, number 1, and I think you would be as good.
I don't think I would take either guy with the number 1 overall.
Right.
But that's
you're a running back guy.
That's fine. So something else I just popped in my head also that I think. Definitely Joe noticed, and if you watched Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs last year, something that was very interesting was we drive down the field mostly passing the ball, and we'd get within 10 yards, and we'd run the ball in. Yeah. So Patrick actually missed a lot of touchdowns because we just didn't pass it. And we're like, we could easily throw a pass here, and we'd run it, including the time Patrick ran to get a first down and hurt his knee, right? And you're like, man, why were we doing that? We passed so well. But that happened last year, so he's going to be amazing.
But then I'll point to the playoffs, and we didn't. We passed to Travis Kelce almost every time for a ton of touchdowns. So yes, we did during the season, but I think you're going to start seeing a little more playoff caliber play throughout the year. And if you do see that, you're going to see his game.
Yeah, he's a great pick. He's a great pick.
Chiefs homers. Let's move on to some other quarterbacks.
Yeah, so I mentioned Lamar. I mentioned Lamar, but I want to come next because that was just to get that one, I think, consensus out of the way.
Yeah.
Even though you guys didn't go down that road as much this time. So I'm actually my angle. I'll probably say some guys I like, but my angle this time is guys I wouldn't pick, or I wouldn't pick as a primary quarterback. Is a better way to say it because I think. Some of these guys, they bounced around, and it's like what they did last year. And if you look at their averages, where they got them showing up this year, and I'm like, are they fucking crazy?
Would you have them as your backup?
Yes, that's what I mean. They might be decent backups because I'm actually only looking at like the first 32 guys or so, right? That's the league's worth of starters.
Of course.
And really, the first 24, that's every team in a 12-man league, which is usually the largest. Sometimes, a lot of times you're playing a 10-man league.
At most,
that's everybody has two. At 24. So you don't really need to get too far. Right. And then you got to, what the hell? I'm going to lead where they were last year, then I'm going to lead into them. So Carson Wentz, right? Okay. He was top 10 last year, 9. Yep. He played all 16 games, but his average was 17.68 points, barely above Aaron Rodgers. Patrick, so many better players, even Kyler Murray. In his first year, had a better season than him. Yep. They have him as 11 this coming year, which isn't a big fall, but I'm like, no. I see so many guys that are.
There's a couple guys I would take
that I see that on the list that they got below him that I'm like, I think this is wrong. Yeah. I think because of the things around him and what they did in the draft, not getting the wide receivers, the thing he's going to need. Yeah, he had a good year. To me, shockingly better than I thought he did. At number 9, but I'm like, no. If you look at his average, you're like,
I mean, he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, yes, but his tools around him.
He doesn't have anybody.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't jump on him like this is my first quarterback. That's what I'm trying to say. Yep.
Okay.
I would agree with that pick. I think that's a pretty good pick, and I would err on the side of caution when we're getting to like the Carson Wentzes of the league. I think there is a couple of guys though. Who are lower on the list that I would be comfortable.
Me too. And I want to hear you guys talk about him.
Pick. Yeah. And there's one guy who's at number 10, Mr. Tom Brady, who I think a lot of people are going to sleep on, and he's going to be a later round pick, mid-round pick. I would put him. I think he's going to have a top 5 year. And call me a homer if you will, but he has more weapons than he's had since he won the Super Bowl against, I would say, the Falcons. He's got Gronkowski. He's got, who else does he have? He has Mike Evans. He has Godwin. He has O.J. Howard. The list goes on of this Tampa Bay offense, and Bruce Arians knows how to make the most out of his quarterbacks. Yeah. So I just think Tom Brady is going to put up top 5 numbers, and they have him at 10. There's some experts that have him at 28th. So, I can't see Tom Brady doing worse than some of the guys that are ahead of him. So,
okay.
Go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead. Well, go ahead, Joe.
Are you going to talk about Tom Brady or are you going on to somebody else?
No, I'm going on to somebody else.
Okay, then let me talk just for a second. So I want to chat briefly. So he was rated 12th last year, both. If you go by average, by the way, he was 16th. So, but total points, he was 12. And they got him at 10. So I don't think that's a huge stretch. You got him going up with his weapons. I'm not going to disagree with you that I think he could hit 10. I'm not in love with him. I wouldn't grab him in the top 5. But
not as a top 5 pick, but I think
if you're at the end of the draft order and everybody else grabbed a quarterback, Tom Brady's a fine choice. Right?
I agree. I wouldn't hesitate to pick him.
You know what I'm going to say? If Drew Brees was available too, I'd pick Drew first.
I worry about Drew Brees.
Drew definitely had a better average. He's got to stay healthy, but I think last year was a fluke, and I think he's healthy again this year, and he's got great weapons. Go ahead.
I worry about Drew Brees.
So the two guys that I want to talk about, number one, who I think is going to fall out of grace, is Drew Brees. guys, listen. This whole thing with Drew Brees, and I'm not going to make this political, and we won't go into that.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this: he pissed off his teammates.
Yeah.
Right. He pissed off Emmanuel Sanders that he doesn't have a relationship with. That trust, guys, is gone. He doesn't have that. Yep. Michael Thomas, right? Alvin Kamara, Malcolm Jenkins. These guys are pissed off. And the fact of the matter is he said it. He doubled down on it. Then today he's backing off on it. But they all still know that that's the way he thinks. And that's okay. He has his opinion. But they don't like it, and I think that it's really going to hurt this team. I think that Sean Payton is crapping his pants right now because I really think the chemistry of this team has taken a huge hit, and it's really going to affect Drew Brees. And I think, John, you said you think they would win the division. I really think this could actually hinder them from actually doing that. I think it was a disservice, and I'll be curious to see where this team goes from here. Can they repair this? Or is it damaged? Because I think the trust is hurt, and I don't know that it can be repaired. So I'll say that. So I think he won't do as well as he did last year. Now, on to the guy that I think is going to step up and have a much better year, and that would be Phillip Rivers. I really like him in Indy. I like him. I know you're smiling down there. I know.
Shocked.
I just like the weapons that he has around him. Again, I've always said the guy can sling the ball. I'll be curious to see what he does in Frank Reich's offense. And I just think, listen, I don't know if he'll be a top-tier quarterback, but damn, I'll tell you what, he'd be a guy that I would probably start, if not have for that bye week when Pat Mahomes is on bye, right? So I just think he's going to have a much better year just because of the coaches he has around him and the players he has around him. New system, let's see what the guy can do. And again, biggest crybaby in football, not a huge fan.
Crybaby Rivers.
I just think he's going to have a good season.
I think he's going to do better than he did last year.
Yeah.
I don't think he's worthy of being if he was my starting quarterback going into the fantasy year, I would be a bit concerned. I will say that. I would be a bit concerned.
Yeah. Possibly. It depends who else is on your team. If you grabbed him late because you got two stud running backs and you got two monster receivers,
but even then,
and a great
there's other quarterbacks.
Okay, so Evan, I gotta throw this out there just because I'm curious based on where they're ranking them. You got Phillip, you got Baker or Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield or Daniel Jones. Which one are you taking?
Out of those three, I'm taking Baker Mayfield.
Baker. Yeah, of course. You didn't know that? He has a hard on for Baker. He might be under his desk.
Right, and of course, Phillip had a better year than both of those guys last year. So,
yeah,
I think Baker Mayfield gets back to
depending on where you look at their
Baker
stats.
Mayfield before, so I don't need to.
Well,
I don't know if I would take Daniel Jones ahead of him. Maybe, but we got to see how he steps up.
Yeah,
I think the same thing for Phillip though. Phillip's obviously going to a better team as well. So it's
I think. Yeah,
Okay,
so
fair enough.
I
think it's going to be pretty close. Next year or this coming year, they have both of them ranked higher than Phillip by far, and that's what I think is shocking. None of them could potentially be in your starting lineup if you're even in a 12-man league because none of them are making the top 12.
Right.
But if you missed out, you were heavy on running backs and wide receivers and waited a long time to get a quarterback, you could end up with one of those three guys as your main quarterback.
Right, as the main guy.
Well, listen, there's Drew. There's Russell Wilson. The guy's a monster. Aaron Rodgers is going to score you some points. You could talk about all these guys. Garoppolo, listen, he's going to score you points. Is he worthy of a starting nod, Evan?
Honestly, I wouldn't put him as a starter.
Okay.
And
he's another one I would say the same thing, yes.
That offense, it isn't geared towards high octane. Like Garoppolo's not putting up 350 yards a game and 3 to 4 touchdowns. I think there's a lot. Maybe he's a good quarterback, but there's a lot of other quarterbacks that are going to put up better fantasy numbers. You look at a guy I think Garoppolo might be a better quarterback. Well, I actually don't agree. Well, someone like Matt Ryan, who's a serviceable quarterback, right? He is in an offense that is pass first, pass heavy. He's a good quarterback, and so he puts up fantasy numbers. Is he better than Garoppolo? I guess you could say so. He's won an MVP, but skill-wise, you could make an argument for one or the other.
All right, so I have one last question.
Yeah.
I'll pose this to you, Evan. John, feel free to weigh in. You're the number 12 pick. Who do you take? You got 2 picks back to back.
Well, I mean, it would depend on the board.
I understand that, but in the first 11 picks, you pretty much know who's gone.
Right.
Okay, the top positions, the top running backs, the top receivers, and the top quarterbacks are gone. And I mean the top 9. So the top 3 running backs, the top 3 receivers, and the top 3 quarterbacks are gone at number 12. And that's only 9. So you still got 2 other guys that are gone.
Well,
who do you take back to back at number 12?
My guy Kyler Murray would be there. I think he would probably end up being there.
He probably would at number 12, yes.
So I would probably take Kyler Murray, and then I would evaluate whoever I would make a decision. That next or wide receiver depends.
Yeah, see, he could have said wide receiver first because he's getting Kyler the very next pick. So honestly, that it's Kyler and somebody.
It wouldn't really matter because you're taking the next 2 picks anyway. So it wouldn't matter who you're taking first.
Thank God for fantasy snake draft order versus the real thing in the NFL where you'd wait again.
I know.
You'd be the 24th fucking pick and you would be screwed.
And it would suck.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that would be ugly.
That'd be horrible. How are we doing on time, Ev?
We're over.
Oh boy! All right,
we're never over. We're just running a little longer.
Oh yeah, we're just running. We're having a little bit of extra time. That's fine. We're in
Garoppolo, I would stay away from. I wanted to spew some numbers because I liked it. He was 14th overall last year, and that's considering there's guys that didn't even play all 16 games. They maybe only made 14 games and were better than him. If you go by average,
20.
Right. If you go by average, he was 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was one nod again above Phillip and one nod below Jared Goff. And none of those guys are we like, oh, they're man. And Andy was above them both. Yeah.
They were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because of their defense.
Oh, right.
Not because of their offense.
And they had a decent running game. And he like you said, he was serviceable. He did well enough to not – I mean, I would say Garoppolo didn't choke and throw too many picks. You know, he didn't do it.
No, I think he had a great year until he overthrew Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl.
Oh, right.
And then it all went to shit from there.
Yeah. So here I'm gonna name one more guy I'm not fond of, though he's not huge on the list either, and it's from a team that I'm kind of a homer of. Don't pick up Kirk Cousins. Do not do it.
Okay, fair enough.
Not as a starting quarterback. I don't know that I would. I would probably
have him
a decent
comfortably
backup.
as a backup.
Yeah, one of the least. I mean, he didn't do great last year. He's not predicted to do well this year. I mean, top 24. So he's a backup. He's going to fall in the backup.
John, I think we all have one of those guys where we're like, don't pick this guy up. And Leonard Fournette is the guy for me.
Right.
He's
not a quarterback, Joe.
I understand that, but I'm saying each of us has that one guy.
Give me your quarterback that's that guy. Who are you not going to grab? I mean, there's a couple others, but that's
I could give you the quarterback, and I'll give you the receiver too. I got them all. Quarterback for me, I think 1 year, and I only had him 1 year, and that was Dak Prescott. He screwed me that year, and he's done well. I mean, obviously, if you look at him, I think he was third last year.
Second,
second. Yeah. So I mean,
he's done well, second.
But he didn't do me well. And you know, when you hit a guy like that, it's like, no, I'm sorry. I'd rather go with somebody else. And my receiver is that receiver out of Houston, Will Fuller.
Oh, that bitch.
Screws me every year. That guy has 6 speed, but screws me every year. You know, we all have one. That guy that just is no good for you.
You know, I'm surprised you say that because who the hell is that guy that was – it's not Cook, right?
Dalvin Cook? Well, he screwed me too.
He screwed me before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say my running back is Lamar Miller.
Well, I had him and Leonard Fournette, and they were both hurt. Both of my starting running backs, I had to go pick up bullshit. I think
not Cook. I'm talking about the wide receiver. That it's not Dalvin Cook. It's
Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cook. There we go. You had him too, and
now
he's
on
bad.
Houston.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That bastard. You know, they can keep him.
So I'm going to get a shout out to a couple guys that obviously I think are going to be good. You mentioned one, of course, Russell Wilson. Yeah. Another one that I was totally shocked by that we know is good that I didn't realize was that good. Deshaun Watson, guys, he was number 5, but he was second in average because he missed a game. Right behind. I mean, 22 points, 22 point something. Lamar was 28. He was that's man. Too bad he lost his wide receiver.
But
so he's not going to. It's going to hurt him. It's going to hurt him. But still,
Brandon Cooks comes in. That hurts.
Oh, I know. He's not going to be as good. They have him dropping off some too.
Oh yeah.
But God, he's a starting quarterback. I mean, you're just not one of the guys you're going to pick in the first couple picks, but he's solid. Then another guy I know you're going to say that I'm going to beat you to it. I was shocked at how good Josh Allen was last year, and he's kind of put in the same place. They don't have him going up, but they got him kind of right in the same place he was.
MVP dark horse.
I don't know that he's a great fantasy quarterback. He
is with his weapons. They got another receiver.
He would be on my bench probably. Their defense wins games. I mean,
you trade him to me. Trade him to me when you pick him up.
I might. It depends. If I got Tom Brady or I got Pat Mahomes,
because he runs the ball too. He gets carries. He's
not Lamar Jackson runs. I mean, Patrick Mahomes runs too.
He runs better than Patrick Mahomes. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Pat had more points on average.
I was going to say, I think
he had more points per average.
Same.
Yeah, so Patrick is a little better quarterback, and I think he's going to stay a better quarterback.
He's a lot better quarterback.
Of course, he's a better quarterback, but I'm just saying, Josh Allen is a sleeper.
He's a good pickup. He's a
people will see
starter.
him. He's rated 7th on the top.
Right. 10. I think he's going to be in that range.
I think people see that and they're like, "Oh, Josh Allen," and so he might. I feel like he might fall in fantasy drafts, but I don't think it's warranted. So
I'll tell you what. I'll take Josh Allen over Ryan Tannehill.
He'll be on my bench.
He'll be I'll have Kyler Murray, so I guess he'd be on my bench too.
That's right.
But
that's right. If he falls too far, I'll grab his ass. Cool. It's a great bye week edition, man. I mean,
very true.
All right, who could be the sleeper that we're all missing that could just come out?
I'm going to say Matthew Stafford.
He had great average. He just didn't play much last year. I think he's a solid.
Well, he got hurt. He's coming back. They have an all right receiving core. They added Swift in the backfield. I think the Lions offense is going to – he's consistent. He puts up points, Matthew Stafford. And, nobody really is talking about him. He's rated outside the top 10. I just think if you pick him up as a sort of later round guy, you're going to get a guy with value, and he can step in, and put up points consistently.
I think it's good choice. Joe, what do you think?
Stidham, for sure.
There we go.
And here's my belief on that. It doesn't matter who they put under center. Belichick is going to throw the ball. They're going to throw the ball. Now, it's my dark horse, and this kid, he may shit the bed. But you know what? If he does it, I can guarantee you he's going to throw the ball enough to score a whole lot of points. So if you want a dark horse, you want me to throw a guy out there that none of us expected. That's a pretty good dark horse.
You know what's crazy?
Stidham is that guy.
He's rated 34th, and there's only 32 starting quarterbacks.
I saw that. I loved it. I was like, oh, that's telling you something. They're not in love with him. The experts are not in love with him, so it is a super dark one. I'm going to take an appropriate dark horse.
They've never been in love with anything Bill Belichick has done, but yet he's got 6 rings
and he wins.
So I
can't wait.
I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to the experts.
Yeah, they're not liking the guy this year.
No.
So my guy that wears black, that is my dark horse, is Derek Carr. With Ruggs, I think he's a.
See, he's always.
I think he's going up. He's going up this year, and they have him dropping big. They have him dropping.
I think Marcus Mariota is going to have the starting job by the middle of the year. I don't even know if Derek Carr is going to be starting.
I know you've said that, and yes. Unless Derek gets hurt or he does something really stupid, I see Derek having a better year, and I see him being a. Could he be a wild?
I would go with the stupid factor.
I wouldn't initially draft him for my starting quarterback, but I would definitely consider him a solid backup, and he could end up lighting it up because of his weapons.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. I won't put in the time to dispute that one.
Right. It's not worth your time.
Not worth
and he's
my time.
in against the Chiefs in the league, and I think it's a good, solid pick.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that nobody threw Drew Lock in here. That actually shocks me.
But his numbers when he won those games weren't all that great. That's why I was like,
dude, I know. I said that. I also said, look who they played, because everybody's like, well, Jesus Christ, he won the last 5. It's like, yeah, he won the last 5. But again, Look who he played.
Right.
Look at old man Fangio dividing the team.
You got to remember,
like
I threw him out as a dark horse MVP, by the way.
And that's going to be a big thing.
But again, I actually said Drew Lock was a dark horse MVP, if you remember from that episode. So I did pick, but again, I don't equate MVP being
with fantasy
leader. So
and you can't. I mean, it's not the same thing.
Unless you're me.
Like I did. Yeah, you did.
Right.
Congratulations.
I deserve a medal.
You do.
Trophy?
I agree.
Do you have a trophy for me?
We don't. But I could find something. I got a koozie.
Okay, that's good enough.
Will that work? Yeah, that'll work for your water bottle.
Yeah, of course it would.
Fantastic.
My water bottle, my tea.
I'll give you my empty beer can here in a second.
Oh, that's nice.
Excellent. I love it. Yeah. Greatly appreciative of
here, Evan. You've won. You're a proud owner of a Natty Light.
Natter Days.
Piss can.
A piss can. That's right.
Hey,
everybody needs one.
Piss, you know,
that's right. That's right.
The lemonade was naturally in there. The strawberry was added.
Okay, fair enough.
There it is.
Great. The added sweetener.
That's right.
All right, boys. Did we cover it all?
I think we nailed it.
I think we did.
It's a good show, guys.
Yeah, fantastic.
Right on.
Until next time, man.
I have no idea what we're going to talk about, and I think we'll just make it up at some point.
None whatsoever.
We
got nothing, but we'll figure out something.
Right. We'll get something good. All right, guys. Take care.
You got it.
All right.
Later.
Guys.
Shot this time.
All right. So this morning, there's this guy that him and we give each other shit about each other's wives and moms, and we just talk shit.
Yeah.
So this morning I go in and I'm like, hey, Justin, how many licks does it take to get to the center of your wife's Tootsie twat? And with the coolest face, he goes, 69. And we just busted out laughing, man. It was absolutely hysterical.
That's terrible. That's awesome.
He's just like, I thought I got him. And I mean, he just cool as a cucumber, man. He's like, 69.
Cool as ice. I like it.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, man.